Good afternoon, everybody. Hello. It's the graveyard shift, so I have to make sure you guys are still with us. Thank you for staying till the end of the program. I have these two gentlemen with me for a conversation on emerging tech. And it's a timely conversation. Our minister was recently on Twitter talking about telemedicine, and a number of things that the audience thought were maybe a little bit advanced for the fundamentals of our economy. So I'm going to ask Obi and Emeka to explain. And Obi, I'm going to start with you. So Zone, your platform is a blockchain network. It powers digital payments, it connects banks and fintechs, and it's a layer one protocol for issuing digital currencies, deploying DeFi services, etc. Yeah. Now, 18 months ago, 24 months ago, if I said DeFi, this room would be full. Everything blockchain was as hot as it got. Today, if I talk about building a blockchain-based, a lot of the conversation is, yeah, we can build it on the blockchain, but could we build it on conventional tech anyway? So, can you talk a little bit about why a blockchain-based digital payment system, and just your thinking about the blockchain into the future? Because as markets go, the market has swung a little bit into the next thing, AI, which we will still talk about. But it's still an interesting technology, and you guys still have a company based on it. So,
okay, yeah, thank you very much, Tamira. Always a pleasure. So basically, blockchain is about introducing trust and transparency into digital systems. That's what it's about. It's about being sure about the digital records and digital processes being run. And what we've done is apply that process or apply those capabilities to payment in a way that removes friction, reduces costs significantly, and enables adoption. So in a nutshell, what we've done, if you take payment networks today, for payment to happen, you need to have systems that connect financial institutions. And you have a middle system that does that. And this has been the architecture worldwide. What we've done on blockchain is to remove, because there's now trust, remove the need for that intermediary who would typically also increase friction and allow all participating financial institutions on that network connect directly with each other for purposes of processing transactions. So it's much more reliable, right? Friction associated with where transactions fail or you have chargebacks and so on go out of the window, and the cost of that central intermediary goes out. And so this is what we're doing. It's pioneering globally, for sure pioneering in Africa, a few other companies across the world. We think that payment is just one vertical that would transition into the blockchain. We're going to have other financial services verticals transition into the blockchain. So that's just a quick summary.
So let me play the role of the blockchain crypto skeptic and say, are you finding practically that the cost reductions happen in terms of just building out this infrastructure? Is it that much cheaper than using whatever conventional architecture has existed prior to now? And the applicability beyond fintech, are you seeing other examples of people sort of apply this same blockchain technology, the same sort of like trust systems in other spaces in practical ways?
Yeah, so for the first question, in terms of cost reduction, for sure, right? Because anywhere you have intermediaries, especially if there are multiple intermediaries, those intermediaries are going to incur cost and transfer those costs to users of that service. But they also introduce friction, right? Because anything where you have a party where things have to pass through, that process inherits the friction that that party generates. So just by taking out those, like the intermediaries in the value chain, You take out the cost and you take out friction at the same time. So you get lower cost but a better experience overall. So it's like more and less at the same time.
Okay.
Based on this technology. There are other areas, to the second question, beyond fintech, any sector where trust and transparency is useful and where it makes sense to remove intermediaries is is ready for this technology. Public sector, right? Okay. Where you have records that must be trusted and processes. So you talk about governance. So processes that the population can be sure of and they are not being tampered with. Voting, for example. So that's on the public sector. Even in private sector, supply chain, a number of other areas.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation about it in health, in real estate.
Yes.
Interesting. We're going to come back to this and the implementation of it and the practicalities of it, particularly in this environment. But let me go over to Emeka. Emeka, you guys run a core banking system. And it's got everything, self-service, it's got USSD, people can plug in whatever sort of like payments and card systems that they have. Yeah. How do you think about emerging technologies, and how do you think about sort of the investment that's required to keep on top of each new technology that comes into banking, that comes into payments? How do you think about that from an investment perspective, from a business growth perspective?
So the first thing is, it's sad that some of these seats are empty because I was going to correct Maiwa of McKinsey, if she's still here, no disrespect. Africa is not going to contribute 800 million citizens to the workforce in 2050. The number will be closer to 0. And the reason is because of artificial intelligence. The advances that have been recently made in AI, and many of you are used to ChatGPT, you now have a proper open sourcing of that piece of tech, but in ways that anybody can use them, right? By 2050, we all won't have jobs.
Interesting.
Nobody sitting here will have a job in 2050. So if you're retiring before 2050, congratulations. Now, what we need to do, however, and what we are doing at CORE, is we need to adapt. The application of emerging technologies is a critical component of that. CORE is a banking as a service platform, as you're aware. It's single instance on the cloud, managing over 500 clients across the continent. Every day we rack up maybe 500 terabytes of data every single day or more, and we've been doing this for years. Our aspirations are to take generative AI and plug in all that data so that we can start to automate the different aspects of delivering financial services fully. So, for instance, front office type activities, you have customer service, account opening. So today you have digital channels that allow customers to open accounts from the web, but how do you get those customers in, right? We believe that we would have AI agents that can handle marketing, that can fit into digital marketing channels, jump into conversations on Twitter, on Telegram, on WhatsApp, and sell products in a way that that becomes a channel to acquire customers. So no more marketers. And then you would have, obviously, customer service. We're working to provide chatbots that would allow our customers to reach out, solve their problems with actionable steps, APIs that resolve those issues, and then, the whole front office. But it doesn't stop there because everything else going all the way to the back, if it's your financial accounting, if it's your reconciliation, you can automate the governance process, ensure compliance with regulation and all those things in a way that ultimately you would be able to have a bank that is run entirely by AI agents and AI systems.
And then you won't have a job.
Yes, but I'll have the company that is doing all this.
It's really going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to the day when your AI agent is attempting to market to me but I have an AI agent managing my Twitter account, so your AI agent's marketing to my
Very
AI
intelligent
agent.
times, very interesting times. They will be. Your AI agent will come to you and say, there's this AI agent that's not letting me rest. You know what happens now? Marketers keep blowing up your phone. It'll be the same thing. I can't seem to tweet on your page because it's an agent, a bot that is just selling me stuff constantly.
Fascinating. I think we have, I don't know, 10 more minutes, 5 more minutes or so for this conversation. So we're not going to be able to dig into it. I mean, it is a really interesting, okay. It is a really interesting conversation, just thinking about Africa by 2050. This physical population, this huge physical population that still needs food, that still needs physical services, and then this automation of kind of world labor that you foresee. In kind of the brief time that we have left, I want to talk a little bit about what should we be doing from a preparing for that future perspective. So there are these digital technologies that are changing the world, and whether, I think the conversation on Twitter was a lot of, we don't have power yet. You know, we don't have trains to move goods yet, and you want an AI policy. But your brother has just said AI is about to run us all out of jobs. What should we be doing? How do we prepare?
Okay, yeah, so I think that there are two key areas, and I guess the technologies help to also like accelerate this. One is in terms of adoption, right? Like, so I believe that the technology, you know, AI, blockchain, and so on, have a huge role to play in removing the friction in using these technologies, right? Before now, technologies have been considered to be difficult to use. You need to learn a lot of stuff and maybe unreliable and maybe not trustworthy. But these technologies are going to come together to make adoption seamless, almost with no effort, right? So that's one area.
Foolproof for dummies.
Huh?
Foolproof for dummies.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So the other areas in terms of learning and capacity development, right? So we're going to see accelerated capacity development amongst humans. And if there's anywhere in the world that needs this the most, it's Africa, right? We're going to see democratized access to knowledge, access to learning in a massively scalable way like has never been seen before, right? So yes, while we are going to see this whole job shift go, it's going to come with a significantly improved experience and significantly upgraded capability for the human mind. Yeah, so it's exciting, really.
I think it's a really fascinating conversation, and we could probably spend a much longer time. I'm going to do one last question. Time is kind of up. For the people in this audience, what do they do? From your perspective, what should they be building? What should they be funding? There's investors here. What should they be backing from a policy perspective? Just what are your thoughts?
So I'll start with policy because I think a lot of things sit on that, right? I think the government should provide the enabling environment for investments, first of all.
Okay.
We need huge investments in education. We won't be able to upskill easily if we don't have like some of the fundamentals. And there are a lot of people walking around under those bridges. They need training. We need to have, like all our money should go into that. That's the first piece, right?
Okay.
Secondly, in Nigeria, and I heard, I think it was the PiggyVest co-founder was talking about how, you know, returns keep slipping in USD because of the devaluation issue, and we face that. I mean, we have international clients, but...
Don't depress me this afternoon.
We have international clients, but most of our revenue is still in Naira, so I feel our pain. We need to focus on import substitution, right? There has to be a deliberate effort into ensuring that we reduce the amount of stuff that we're importing right now, because we can produce a lot of those things easily as well with some help and some enablement from the government. If that happens, then we can stabilize the exchange rate, because the thing is, Nigeria is a huge market. Africa is large, over 1 billion people, completely untapped, right? Investment wants to flow into places where value can be created. So once you stabilize the currency, then those returns and the proof of those returns become like obvious. The stories go out there, and then money can flow in. I think one of the speakers talked about how the pension funds were not contributing into PEs and VC. That is purely because of this reason, right? So, but once things stabilize, that would come in. Now, one extra step might be to help further de-risk the investors coming into the country. I think the governments can provide some kind of fail-safe rather than create grants and give direct investments to startups, of which I don't think the government is in the best position to select properly. Let the market do that selection.
Okay.
But then you can guarantee a certain minimum return so that the investments are de-risked, so that putting these three things together, you catalyze the investments and that comes in and that will help drive the process. Now, for all of us here, individuals, we need to all upskill. AI is coming for all of us, and good thing there's a way each and every one of us can improve our productivity today. Ahead of that, fully automated, robot-driven future, and that would help bring down costs. That will help with improving returns on our existing effort. Like right now, there's so much you can do in every business today to try to automate it and bring the cost down using AI. So we should all do that so that just like me, in 2050, some of us here will own many of the other businesses that are run by machines.
A fascinating future. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Unfortunately, we can't go for much more conversation, but thank you to everyone in the audience for taking the time to be with us today and for listening to this conversation. You can find Emeka and Obi and sort of drill them a little bit more on this future they imagine for us, but thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.